Okay. And feeling that that was a little bit too many good value trades for the Scoia'tael here, Violet decides, you know what, I think I need to double proc my bowl. Here comes the Emir into Dame, finishes off the poison at the same time, but it's still not enough to catch up. And that bleeding will tick for a little bit, but still not enough to get ahead. Now this is where it gets interesting. Emir by itself, not super scary if there's no dames that are alive. And you know what? That's a 7-power dame, and there are 7 units on the front row. Methinks this Grey Oak could be quite scary. But it is difficult, because you have to decide whether it's wise to commit that now, or do you save this big gold for later. Thing is also, Great Oak has 10 power, and Imposter loves being used on big power units. To do that, you could very well just give Nilfgaard a very easy out of the round just by using their leader. Instead we see Renfri destroy 8 or less, 4 on a pass, which is still a way to answer. You get a bit of the extra infusion value using the Renfri in this round or later. And you save Oak potentially for the last say, which I think is when you want to use it, just to deny that leader value. I think Caue looking quite nice right now, ahead by effectively 13 points once this bleed ticks through. Only active engine for Violet is this Emir, but putting spying on enemy units only does so much, unless you're playing maybe a seditious aristocrat afterwards. And Marlon Hunter, quite slow, but this aristocrat tag does enable the Ard Fiend to be clicked again. Unfortunately, due to client problems for game 1, we don't get to see Violet's hand nor the choices the Ard Fiend gives across. But this gives you guys all an opportunity to think, what would you do in this situation when you're only working off of this limited information? And the answer is actually a pass here by Caue. The full boost on the Renfri infusion coming through on this pass. And Violet needs 13 points here to catch up. Not easy to do. And I could only see really leader being used to do this in one. You've seen Ard Fiend click, gives over a spying. Or could Caue be enough? Actually, okay, Caue and Philivandre is very nice, being set up there with a little bit of bleeding. Able to get a backup plan. And yeah, this should be more than enough. Aristocrats do get out of the round. They maintain their leader, but they did have to use quite a bit already. Joachim still around. I don't know if that was first or second coup. But Joachim, it's not necessarily the best when you're playing into a Geralt here. And since there is only one Zoltan Warrior in this deck, not just Zoltan Warrior, only one Zoltan in this deck compared to some of the decks we saw last week, well, Zoltan does have the Eudor Infuse, spawning her for 3 power. Here comes Seditious Aristocrat. Look, it's honestly not even probably that necessary to kill here. I doubt there'll be that many ways to give spying over remaining for Violet. Really just the Joachim I can think of. It does depend actually on how many Ard Fiend triggers there are, because depending on the top decks, the Ard Fiend can give quite a bit of spying. There's no clean way to finish it right now, which is why we see the Skirmisher likely being used to threaten a follow-up kill. The alternative would be to slow play and maybe set up a bit of armor for the Zoltan Warrior. Yeah, it is just the Skirmisher. It could be maybe another Dame if it wasn't played round 1. think that was likely a seditious aristocrat or something. Or maybe does Joachim have both Aristo and agent tags? That's the only way to give both across. Okay, Usurper actually does give a couple of different spying tags over to the opponent here. Not bad point stun wise either. As this seditious aristocrat stick for a little longer perhaps. But since Sultan is really your only way to finish it off, there's no rush to kill it. Just hold on to this skirmisher. And I'll be assuming there's still a vampire in hand for a Philippe in hand for Violet. With no vampire on board, that would be quite difficult to set up. No Zeal means it could just be killed off by the Zoltan skirmisher combo. That's perhaps the other reason to hold on skirmisher ping, at least until it bleeds out. And yeah, there you go, there's the which you could potentially have boosted by 1 if there was like 4 statuses over on the enemy's board, but still would have only gone up to 6 power. We likely see Zoltan being used to off along with that skirmisher. You thought Usurp was good point, Sam? Well, not quite, because the Zoltan does that. Whilst also being, I think, a little bit more of a consistent engine in this sort of situation. As the armor, so it's going to be dealing 1 damage randomly each turn. However, that is a lot of doomed statuses all on 1 row. This leader for Violet is looking a little bit scary. A lot of potential boosts, and you see the Ard Fiend playing into that by giving a status to the remaining non-statused unit at row. But Usurper does go up to 9 power. It means this Geralt certainly will not be a brick. But I think Caue will just be waiting with bated breath, seeing if this Joachim will come up, because that is the ideal target for this Geralt. The other interesting thing is that we could be seeing a potential roadblock if there's enough spies here with a Roderick, Joachim, and a Caue. On to said Joachim. I don't think you even need to really lead a Urk to still get a lot of value here with all those status on the front row. But now it's a bit easier to play the Urk without fear of the opposing leader. There's not that many units that I think you're worried about killing essentially here. Maybe you could have taken the Urk onto this seditious aristocrat, but I think it's fine to wait it out. And note that you can't afford to play this agitator front row, because if you do, then the Joachim could be played front row and brick the row for this Urk. Like, I might have liked to see that seditious aristocrat being killed though, because essentially, it will get a little bit of value with this Joachim, and I think the Caue didn't have doomed last round. Yeah, with the Odd Fiend, the Joachim, it is just getting a little bit too much additional value. Maybe there isn't a Caue, because this Geralt is being played front row, and I don't think you'd do that if there was. I'm not giving armor to Joachim, so it looks like there isn't a Caue. What is the final card here? It is a Caue. Okay, that seems a bit of a misplay then. Because yeah, now the row is clogged. Yeah. And that's the thing. Yes, you can be running a control deck. But if even like say 1 Sister Aristocrat and 1 Usurper live, they can still get a surprising amount of value, particularly with that Ard Fiend living there. That was the game 1. Hopefully we will be fine.
Not find no place, no how.
Or game 2. Wait, why am I in the shot? So that was game 1 going to Violet, so good start there for Team China. And yes, we do get the invites. That is very reassuring.
A word once given, we never break.
And Augusta, thank you for the follow. It's good to have you here. Okay, so game 2, the aristocrats have gone through. What does this mean? This means Violet gets their first blue coin, and I think at this point it's quite set in stone which deck you'd rather take where. Knights is a lot better on blue coin, particularly because you're Arendai and you get the first say to set up your engines. Scoia'tael, Guerilla Tactics, Shuru, Milvalist, that prefers the red coin, because you're a bit slower in the round 1, you don't have as much tempo to really contest. And ooh, it was the expected clear of Violet, but this is the quite worrying matchup, I would say. Like if I just like when I was looking at the two lineups, this was in my mind like the most polarizing matchup. Where I think this is one where typically it's just a poor matchup for one of these decks, and the Skellige I think can struggle. At least that's my memory. That's how my memory works. Because yeah, you just go heavy on like trying to get shields and going super tall, and if you go tall enough, like yes, they can kill if you're smaller cards, but it doesn't matter when your big stuff is living. The good sign for Skellige is these are very atrocious draws here for Violet. No Lady of the Lake drawn, no Echo cards drawn. So this means that, well, you can set up Squire into Vandergrift, maybe into a Knight Errant, but then you're a little bit short on good plays. Especially with this double damage sorceress and nothing to follow up on. You actually do see the Squire into Squire here. We play like this because the slashers aren't up to 6 damage yet, Squire is kept safe, and now we might see it on. I think it's a pretty safe play. The Shield of the Vandergrift ought to keep it safe. It's the turns after that where you're a little bit more worried. You know, we just see Knight Errant, then the Squire click. This is, I guess, playing a bit in the middle. Safe for a Primal Savagery right now, that's only up to 4 damage. But maybe just testing the waters to see if there is a Gutting Slash that would be committed here. Now it's weird, because Slash is a 4 provision card, but it's kind of valuable because it is your sort of highest damage raid in this matchup. And with Knights going pretty tall pretty quickly, it can be very, very scary. Yeah, here's the Vandergrift. And with this point gap, it's already kind of forcing Caue to take the pass here. But then you're facing an infused Vandergrift into the round 2, and that's not something you really want to do. But with that, besides, I can't take this pass. This is just not good for me. Decides to keep playing. Does get the Windhelm out. Another quite scary engine due to this shield potentially protecting it. I guess you could do maybe Babylon into a Blood Eagle, some kind of shenanigans with that. With no Bloodthirst, I don't really see a way to maybe even do a Champion's Charge on the Vandergrift, and that doesn't even feel good. Because then that's your potential Champion's Charge for that Maiden's Shield, which I think you just need later on. Either that or the Immortals. Quite scary to still have the Immortals in hand here. Oh, sorry, not in hand, but have access to it later on. Yes, yeah. Ignore Scorch would have been nice in that previous round, but we are Devotion here for the Skellige, so you're very limited in what tools you have. There's no Heat Wave because you're Devotion, so the scenario goes through uncontested, and since you're bleeding, it's you're able to proc the chapters at your absolute leisure. With that, you just see double Redanian Knight, and a leader being used to immediately get a Grace, and this is the thing, the Grace procs boost adjacent units, so you're able to already very quickly start getting things out of range. This rain is potentially able to help finish something off, but I don't think that's going to be very likely since we just see the setup of the Caue troll here. So yeah, they're unable to move. One Redanian Knight to the front row. We could see a... Look, the good thing is with Caue Troll, you can get sort of 13 damage if you commit your full leader. So full leader into Sove with the Caue Troll can be both a lot of points and a decent amount of control. And look, I know it's looking bad for Skellige here, but if we look at Violet's hand, there is no Maiden's Shield. There's actually not even a Immortals, so this hand is not going to achieve a whole lot. This squirrel, look, it's alright, can maybe get a bit of a snack on a Blood Eagle, which, since a Blood Eagle isn't actually an animal, I don't think that would be a very good snack. Sounds worse the more I talk about it. Yeah, this Knight Errant a bit scary. Mad Charge, not terrible. The Erendite, it's be decent. Yeah, but yeah, Caue, not knowing the hand, does decide to use the slash to ideally, you know, use the rain to finish off that damned sorceress. Does get the kill. Doesn't matter a whole lot. Would have been maybe nice to have the way to pop the shields, but the shields might just get popped anyways with this Knight Errant being played on the same row as the rain. Note the chapter 2 immediately proccing the Grace on the Knight Errant, and this is really the way you want to play against a damagey deck like this Warriors Raids list. This might be the time you have to actually cash in that leader. You don't want this engine to keep ticking here. Seems like that very well might be the case. And due to the Erendite being able to boost the lowest powered unit, I think you kind of just have to take the Sove on the same turn. Just use it with the Savage Bear here. Yep. And yeah, there is the clash to kill the Knight Errant. The shields get popped, but it's still doable here for... could see Vabion into, say, a Champion's Charge. With this Bloodthirst 3, I think that is the time to do it. I don't think you'll be able to get the Bloodthirst 3 sort of in a round 2. Sorry, in a round 3 scenario. So we'll see if that is the case here, or whether it will be Blood Eagle. But yeah, I think you'd kind of just have to do it. You get rid of the resilience. It is super important. You actually managed to get ahead right now as well. And the armor finally taken away on this Redanian Knight. No more boosting, ticking through on the back row. It did get a little bit of bonus damage through as it moved. Although worst comes to worst, I guess you could use Tear as a reset if you really need. But I think it should be fairly safe here. Okay. Probably see Aura clans playing for the 12 points on the Invader. Alternatively, this... I was trying to mouse over to see how much boost the King Brand has. Only 1 right now, so it's only 8 points, so not super amazing. I guess the other good thing with the War of Clans here is you protect against the potential Squirrel, if that's trying to make your tier a little bit worse next round. But it looks like it's just going to kill off this Warlord. But it probably would have been a bit of a slow play anyways going into that round 3. Drill is a perfect target for Primal Savagery. That gets traded over. Especially use it there, because it's not really guaranteed the Primal Savagery will be able to get a kill next round. So that is actual card advantage going over to the Warriors here. They have the tier, they have last say. That is very big. They're up against a 13-point Erendite and still very bad draws. Both these cards finds the Immortals with not much follow-up. I mean, they gotta be hoping for, you know, Maiden's Shield, Lady Lake, Anira, AA, one of them on this final mulligan. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? It is the AA. Probably the best case scenario, I'd say. Yeah, early on you see the tier. Opts to discard the Brockvar Warrior there. Interesting. Thanks, Silas. This Primal Savagery is looking quite sketchy. It's only dealing 5 damage, and between the mortals having shield, the AA likely pulling the Maiden's Shield. I don't think it's going to get a kill. Alternatively, maybe play the damn Sorceress. Yeah, there's actually the play here. 4 clans will deal 5 damage. Could see... Ooh, actually... It is possible to threaten a kill. Okay, never mind, the leader is just used. I think that's wise. Yeah, you could have done maybe Aurora clans onto, say, the Brockvar Warrior. I think that was the other reason you discarded it, because the Uncrate Marauder is super sketchy against this Immortals. Actually, no. Scratch that. It's the correct play. You want to pop the shield yourself, because then this damned Sorceress isn't able to get the additional boost. Yes, the shield absorbs 1 damage, the Immortal still gets the boost, but you'd rather 1 damage go into the shield than the damned Sorceress gain 2 boost. And that looks like a very narrow win here for the Warriors. By 1 point. So congrats to Caue and Team Brazil, evening up this series 1-1, and yeah, we've got a series on our hand. And I think you gotta be happy with that win, because I think that is probably one of the worst matchups you could have had in this series here. And if the draws were a little bit better there in the round 2, particularly for Violet, I think that goes entirely differently. But having no access to Maiden's Shield round 2, not very good points on their AA round 2 either. It just makes it a whole lot harder to force stuff out. So the leader Sove location, very good line, being able to both answer an engine, put down a lot of points in 1 turn, and then retain that card advantage. I wonder if the game could have gone slightly differently if we saw the pass, because I don't think the Sove alone was enough to get ahead. It was sort of a bit after that we saw card advantage going ways of Skellige. So last say is quite important there, because then you're able to use the heat wave to answer the big unit the tier brings back. Right, so back to blue coin here for Caue. Wonder if we'll see another blue coin Scoia'tael, or whether it's going to be a swap over to the monsters now. On the other hand, for Violet, I'd be expecting Scoia. Yeah, I think Violet's cues are a lot more set in stone. There's a bit more flexibility. And hey, Rakov, good to see you. Ooh, drawing a lot of rock barrages, but okay, look, you don't mind keeping 1 in hand, because in this deck you're only able to shoot a 1 with your Frenzied Dow, but yeah, both you don't want. Not bad draws with the Simless and Dennis already in hand, at least for later on. Problem is, this isn't great for contesting this round. Like, you don't really want to play the Simulus, the Dennis, the Location this round, I'd say. The nice thing is that sometimes the Werewolf can be a bit of a slow play. If you're trying to do this on red coin, you can lose a bit of value on your Erendite. But round 1, we actually see the perfect draws of a Werewolf into the standard Werewolf. Maybe beta, maybe worse. Not even needing to use up the Lady of the Lake to see Neuromancy. See the Fiend being played. I wonder if we'll see Griffin coming through this round or not. Might be something that is just saved for later on. You do have the Fiend, and that is enough to enable either a Moon or an Incubus for later. Oh, it's like a Maxi here. Not amazing draws. Another Break the Armor's Workshop. Very late Curse, Heatwave, and Frenzied Doubt at the bottom. I suspect we'll see a shuffle coming through. I think with how quick that was clicked, it likely was a shuffle. I think if it wasn't shuffled, you'd spend a bit more time looking and trying to get more used to the deck. Nice little Nick Warrior, triggering the Thrive on the fruit, so it does stay at 7 power. Not, you know, damaging itself, turning into an old school Nick Warrior. It's new, it's gone to school, it's graduated, it's now just a 7-point slam body. And it's, look, it's... If Fiend is the backup to a Griffin, Neck Warrior is the backup to the backup. Which is, maybe I shouldn't be using that when Scoia'tael is the actual deck running the backup plan here. But we are at the 7 card threshold, so now the question for Violet is, do you want to keep playing? You're probably not getting much out of still playing into this round. Maybe if the hand is awkward, you could force something of some value out. And if you actually look at the hand here for Caue, it is somewhat awkward. You have the Mamuna, Heatwave, Frenzied Down, the Werewolf, which you really don't want to be playing right now. I guess just toss the Squirrel away. Maybe commit with Lady of the Lake, but that's not really what you want to be doing here. So with a 1 power Wild Hunt Rider, Griffin isn't looking half bad. You could maybe go Lady of the Lake into a Nero into Griffin. Alternatively, you could shoot at the Enraged Ifrit. Just set up your Frenzied Dow for a bit later on. Looks like it is going to be a Neuromancy play. And what is the tutor of choice? What are we pulling out? It is the Frenzied Dow. Oh. I like that. It's just playing it safe, ensuring that you're able to get the Frenzied Dow set up. And look, it is too thinning on the Frenzied Dow. You can just use it this round in order to be able to set up your Eskel, Riptide, your Neuromancy to be more likely to be drawn. You actually see the Rock Barrage coming through, combining with the Milford to finish off the previously set up 1 power unit. Not too shabby, but we are at a 10-point gap here. And that can be a little bit difficult to do in one on a pass. Might have to be like a Nero into Caue Saboteur and a friendly leader. I know that Violet would love to take a Squirrel, but that could be a very low tempo here. But yeah, we do see the Frenzied Dow. This is, I guess, a bit more awkward part with the blue coin. You can be forced to overcommit a little bit. Probably would have liked to save that for later, but the hand state kind of just forced to chuck that out. And actually values the Squirrel a little bit. I could have seen the Squirrel maybe just being the toss away there and then only following up with the Frenzied Dow if Violet does not pass. But decides not to go for that. Immediate mulligan on the workshop. I think it was a shuffle. I don't think the curse was that high up. And we don't see drawing into the second workshop, so the Maxi did shuffle, but Milva is in hand. And, you know, this monsters list, it is an Erendite list, so you'd be expecting the round 2 bleed. And what better way to start that off with a lovely Griffin having a bit of a snack on some fruit. I don't know if I would also want to have that fruit, but... Maybe if I was a different Adam. There's 3 non-dwarves in hand, but the armor is able to absorb all of that damage onto that dwarven mercenary. Not a terrible pull from the Mahakam Pass, although you probably would have preferred to get, say, like a Giant Slayer or something. It's also not bad to play around the Lord Riptide, a bit more like a higher powered unit, but nothing crazy. Now the question is, how hard do you bleed here? As Caue, the only goal you're missing here is with the Eskel, which you want to save for later on, probably when the Armorer's Workshop comes out. That's really when you want to use the Heatwave and the Eskel, I'd imagine. It's actually just the Arendite getting rid of the body. I wonder if Violet just sees this 1 power unit and is like, I might just take my Nova right now. That would be a bit of a slow play. By a bit, I mean a lot. Slow. But to be fair, not been a huge amount of temper. That Arendite wasn't huge. Not a bad Lord Riptide though. Getting rid of the Chariot does deny the ability to spread armor for us. Which can make this dance combat a little bit more awkward. Looks like it's Simla's time already though. Yeah. Especially with this bricked Milva, just feeling the pressure already. And it is able to get ahead by 1. And I think this really is like the best time for the tall punishers. The rest of the deck doesn't go super tall. So I would not be surprised to even just see Eskel and Heatwave coming down right now. Also, this curse is looking not great if the Dennis does come through. Milva, as we mentioned, not looking hot. I guess the question is, how do you sequence here as Violet in response? Because you definitely do need to, I think at this point, retain that last save. Alpha, well not Alpha, just the standard werewolf now. Very scary in short round with that last save. Gonna be a bit of a back and forth of whether Violet is able to secure the full punish there. Yeah, Neomancy is being used here. Eskel comes out to white down a rowdy dwarf. Good luck being rowdy when you're dead. There's the Dennis. Playing for decent value, but there's the Heatwave in response. Ashura would actually be quite scary here with a couple of leader charges. So, not knowing the hand, Caue might be trying to force that out. There's still the Neomancy to get that potential Shiru. Ooh, nice little 1-point lead there. And now the question is, do you commit the Mimuna trying to get something good out? I think it's a decent play. You'd either force something good or get most of the leader charges, which would in turn make the Shiru not very good next round. We just save the Mimuna for round 3. It has the Griffin now that it can eat. The thing is, even with the last say, all the last say does for the Scoia'tael here is it gives you the chance to answer the werewolf. You still need enough points to actually win the round. And when you have this Mimuna, this Incubus coming down, that's not going to be an easy task. The Fiend, might just be keeping the Fiend here. I think it's better than kind of most of the other stuff. Maybe Incubus slightly nicer. Vile is good for playing uninteractive, but with the fairly little control, I don't think that's going to go so well. Although, can Violet brick the Arendite by not playing anything but the Shiru? That would force needing to discard this backup plug. And it would also force needing to Neomancy, say, this Circle of Life or the Rock Barrage. But it could very well be the case. And it looks like that's not going to be the play. Decides to take the backup plan here. Actually get some units onto the board. Scratch what I just said. The good thing with this monsters list is the opponent can't really break the Arendite against you if you have an Incubus in hand. Because, you know, let's say that was the line of play taken, you could just, you know, give them a skirmisher, say, and they don't have a way to kill their own unit unless they heat wave it, but then if they sub heat wave, you're probably already in a good enough spot to just win the game. Wonder when we'll see the Fiend coming down. Like you're better off playing it earlier rather than later. Or too many units get onto the board. Then we see the Incubus.
You're one sexy witch and I'm here to please.
Here's the War Chariot here. Now note that if you do pull the Skirmisher, it's only the deploy that's tied to melee row. The order only requires Barricade, and that could be set up with the Mahakam Pass. 7-point Shiru here. Yeah. A little bit worry. Would have actually taken the Fiend. I actually deliberately opted for the Neca Warrior. Thinking that would maybe play a little bit better around, say, like an 8-power Shiru. But yeah. I guess the answer is to how you're going to get your own points is it doesn't matter if Shiru just more than lightly toast, just burns the whole board down. Yeah, it's just insult to injury at this point. It's going to be a Frenzied Dow into a Rock Barrage. Solid 9-point play. And look, yeah, this is just... And the fact that Neomance was used for that means definitely tell Violet has both Toll Punishes and Square looks like it's going to be getting through. Yeah, and that round 2 hand was looking not great, but Toll Punishes, I think they even slightly traded down a bit to like the Sinless and the Dentist, like the points that they were putting up. So yeah, that's the Scoia getting through straight away. And that leaves the Knights for Caue to now need to, well, do, I guess, a mini reverse sweep. Needs to win these final 2 games against... how do I think this will progress? Well, the worst matchup for Knights is through, I would say. Scoia has Point Slam, but can still struggle quite a bit. While we're queuing into this, I just want to verify something. There is a Deroggery in this Scoia'tael list, but there is a Feather in response for Violet, but if Violet draws as well as they did in the first game there, I don't think that'll make a very big difference, because no Neomancy means no access to the Pella, unless you do draw into it naturally, I suppose. Make your predictions? What do you take on the red coin here? I think it is the Scoia. I think when you're Arendite versus Arendite, you'd rather be the Arendite deck on the blue coin, which is, I think, where the monsters would thrive a little more, but I haven't played Knights in a while. I am correct in my prediction. That is nice to see. I think I've been fairly on track this series, apart from like game 1. And actually maybe a little in game 2. I did get the Knights. Okay. Have the hands here. We do see immediate Arendite, which I guess isn't really amazing for the Violet here, but in the round 1 at least, Neomancy is found. Bit of a bricky hand here with the extra Sentinel for Caue. That's not what you want. Hey Lyria, good to see you.
The righteous shall be recompensed.
That's actually, yeah, access to all 3 echoes here with the Nearmancy into the AA. There is a scroll in this list, but it is buried in the deck. Yeah, I think this is going to be rough for Scoia. We did see the Warriors get through, which I would say is potentially a little worse. I mean, there is at least a proper Tall Punish in the Geralt in this list, which doesn't require Bloodthirst. But still, definitely need to get around 1 win, I think. Because, yeah, compared to the Warriors, the control of the Scoia is very front-loaded. You have your skirmishers, you have your Zoltan, you have your leader. I guess the Uruk bit. That's like almost all your damage right there. We've seen actually quite a few things from this Berserker hitting some Immortals, which yes, it does trigger the Immortals, but it means the damaged Sorceress isn't a valid engine at that point. Like Violet starting similarly to previous Knight's game. Double Squire, potentially into the Vandergrift. This is actually the lock. And I think this is the smart lock, to some degree. Because this does mean the Pella getting the lock would get rid of the infusion as well. The Pella is basically... However, it could have been even better if you locked the Vandergrift. Because then the infusion just wouldn't be any useful for later on. Wouldn't have the grace unless the Pella was used on it, and then you have to re-enable the infusion. So I think it might have been a bit of a preemptive trigger on that lock. You do also, to be fair, you do get rid of the additional order on the Squire as well with that lock. This Vandergrift can't be enabled immediately. You see the pretty big point gap already for the Northern Realms. No Zoltan in hand makes this a lot harder for Caue to catch up. Can use the Oak potentially. But yeah, with that in mind, has to be the Renfri's game. I think if this Knight Errant is attempted to get set up, it will likely just be killed through a skirmisher and a leader combo. Or even just a full leader would be enough. Yeah, you do see the Pella, because I mean, it is really the only Pella target. You do get the click on the Squire, will boost and potentially infuse the next unit Violet plays if it is a Knight. There goes the Iris carryover. Unfortunate to play the Renfri's game before that goes through. It is what it is. And it's a 25-point gap already. Still the very threatening combo of the Sorceress and Immortals pop off as the round progresses. The Erendite did kill that Berserker. So this Chariot armor isn't actually turning into points right now. That was also the only dwarf. I assume that was a mistake. Because otherwise, yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't play the skirmisher first unless you're saving it for later. I think... Can you... Leader... Oak leader to for this Vandergrift, or I guess maybe it's just not worth it and you save it for later. So scary. Having the infused Vandergrift on board going into round 2. It's going to be another potential bleed defense. Yeah, so that's only 1 volunteer coming out, and that's now a complete brick at 4 power only. Stuck in the deck here. I guess 5, because technically the Iris went through, but still it's absolute trash. So... look, these are probably some of the worse draws you could have gotten here as Violet. However, with all the echoes, you still have Scenario off of Nero, a Maiden's Shield off of Amphibious Assault, near Arendite for good points / damage, and also Knight Errant and Redani Knight, which is still pretty solid. Yeah, your Knight, your Arendite, of course you push this round too. The only reason you wouldn't push is if you can't trigger your Scenario, but with that in mind, you do have the triggers, you're just going for it. And yeah, we're gonna need to see Zoltan leader coming out, so with that in mind, do the setup with the agitators, giving the armor over to the Zoltan, trying to enable it for the next round, or next potentially. It's like an early Amphibious Assault onto the Maiden's Shield. I have to use at least one leader on it. Can't leave it as is. But probably just thinking, do I leader it directly? Do I leader the Redanian Knight? Because that was the first leader there used by Violet. I think even if you don't get the kill here, Zoltan, as long as you're still able to essentially damage the Maiden's Shield down enough, you're able to make it a lot harder to get the second Grace, because it needs to go up to 14 points. However, Bronwyn the Bold only needs Grace 5, and if the Knight Errant here gets their Grace, you can get the infusion on the Bronwyn, which could try and do some interesting things with. Could infuse the Redanian Knight, potentially setting up the Arendite, but that is game though. Red forfeits. Caue just says that's enough. I can't catch up in the face of the Scenario and all those shields and even the immunity on the Bronwyn. And that does take us to the end of the series, unfortunately. Sad indeed. I was hoping we'd be able to go through to game 5, but